That ugly mud tube on your porch might be a loaded spider vault. Before you scrape it off the siding, know this: a mud dauber wasp may have built it, and each chamber can be packed with paralyzed spiders meant to feed its young. Crack one open, and you may find a row of curled legs, still bodies, and sometimes the kinds of spiders you do not want breeding near your home. That wall stain is not just a nest, it is a hunting record. The wasp that built that nest is probably not a yellowjacket, and that difference matters. Mud daubers are solitary wasps. A female builds her own small mud cells, hunts on her own, lays her eggs and leaves food behind for the larvae. She is not managing a crowded paper nest full of sisters, workers, and a queen. There is no large colony waiting inside that mud tube, and there are not hundreds of wasps ready to pour out if you walk too close. That is why mud daubers behave so differently from the wasps people usually fear. Yellowjackets and hornets defend a shared nest because one threat can endanger the whole colony. Paper wasps will also guard their comb when they think you are too near. A mud dauber is usually focused on construction, hunting, and stocking each chamber. You can often recognize her by the shape first. Many mud daubers have a long, narrow waist that looks almost like a thin thread connecting the body sections. Their flight is less like a frantic swarm and more like a slow inspection. They cruise along walls, porch corners, eaves, and window frames, checking surfaces the way a tiny contractor checks a job site. Then she heads to wet soil, gathers a pellet of mud, and carries it back to the nest. Trip after trip, the little structure grows. So the scary part is not what she is trying to do to you. It is what she is doing to spiders. A female mud dauber is not hunting spiders for dinner. The adult wasp usually feeds on nectar and other sugary liquids. The spiders are for her young, and that is what makes her one of the most useful predators quietly working around a house. The mission starts with a search. She moves through cracks, corners, plants, woodpiles, window frames, and sheltered spaces where spiders hide. When she finds one, she does not tear it apart. She delivers a precise sting that paralyzes the spider but often keeps it alive. Then comes the part most people never see. The wasp grips the limp spider, sometimes dragging or flying with it, and carries it back to the mud nest. Inside one chamber, she packs the spider away like stored supplies. Then she goes out again. One mud cell may hold several paralyzed spiders. Depending on the species of mud dauber and the size of the prey, a single chamber can become a sealed little pantry. After enough spiders are stored, the female lays one egg inside and closes the cell with more mud. When the egg hatches, the larva has fresh food waiting. It eats the trapped spiders inside the sealed chamber, grows, and eventually develops into a new adult wasp. That means a small mud nest on a porch wall is not just dried dirt. It can be a hidden cache of spiders collected from the area around your home. And depending on where you live, some of those spiders may include the kind people really do not want wandering indoors. This is where the brown recluse enters the story. Mud daubers are not famous because they attack people. They are famous among people who watch insects because many of them specialize in hunting spiders. Different mud dauber species target different kinds of spiders. Some collect orb weavers. Some take jumping spiders, crab spiders, or other small species they can overpower. In parts of the United States where brown recluses live, they can also end up on the menu, depending on the wasp species, the local habitat, and where the wasp is searching. That detail matters because brown recluses are not outdoor villains waiting in the open. They like quiet, hidden places. Wood piles, sheds, garages, crawl spaces, cardboard boxes, gaps behind trim, and undisturbed corners can all give them cover. Those are exactly the kinds of sheltered zones a hunting mud dauber may inspect while looking for prey. This does not mean a mud dauber nest is a perfect brown recluse control system. One wasp will not clear an entire property. A few nests will not guarantee that every recluse is gone. If you have a serious indoor spider problem, you still need sanitation, sealing, clutter reduction, and sometimes professional help. Practical point is simpler. When you knock down every mud tube and kill every mud dauber, you may be removing a predator that was already taking spiders out of circulation around your home. Some of those spiders could be harmless. Some, in the right region, could be brown recluses. So the real question is not just whether a mud nest looks ugly on the wall. The question is what happens when the spider hunter is already nesting on your house. If you break open an old mud dauber nest, you are not looking at a random blob of dirt. You are looking at a row of hardened mud chambers, built one cell at a time, like a tiny sealed storage unit glued to the wall. Each chamber was made for one developing wasp. The mother wasp gathers wet mud, shapes it into a tube or cell, then goes hunting. When she finds the right spider, she stings it with enough precision to immobilize it. The spider may look dead when the nest is opened, but many were originally paralyzed, not killed. That detail is the disturbing part. The wasp is not storing rotten prey. She is stocking the chamber with fresh food that cannot escape. Then she lays an egg inside and seals the cell shut with more mud. inside a broken nest, you may find a pile of motionless spiders packed tightly together. You may find a tiny wasp egg attached to one of them. You may find a pale larva feeding in the chamber. Or, if the wasp has already finished developing, you may find an empty cell with a round exit hole where the adult chewed its way out. That is why these nests can look shocking when they crack open. A small mud tube on your wall may contain the remains of several captured spiders, each one removed from the area by a hunting wasp. So the nest is not just a gross stain on siding or brick, it is a record of work already done. Every sealed chamber is evidence that a mud dauber hunted, collected, stalked and raised another spider hunter right beside your house. The part most people worry about is the sting. That is fair. Mud daubers are wasps, and they can sting if they are grabbed, crushed, trapped under clothing or pressed against skin. But their normal behavior is very different from the wasps that ruin picnics or pour out of a hidden nest in the ground. Mud daubers are solitary. A female builds and stalks her own mud cells, and she is not defending a large colony full of workers. There is no swarm response waiting behind the wall. Most of the time a mud dauber flying near a porch, shed, or garage is searching for mud, nest sites, or spiders. It is not patrolling for people. If you stand nearby and watch, it will usually keep working or fly away. The real risk goes up when someone tries to slap it, pinch the nest, scrape it off barehanded, or corner the wasp while it is inside a small space. The practical rule is simple. Observe from a distance, do not handle the nest with bare hands, and keep children from poking at it. If someone in the home has a serious sting allergy, treat any wasp nest more cautiously and consider getting help rather than testing your luck. The answer is yes, because if the wasp is low risk in removing spiders, the smartest move may be to leave it alone. For most outdoor mud dauber nests, the best action is no action. If the nest is on the side of a shed, under a garage overhang, along a fence, or tucked into a quiet porch corner, leaving it alone lets the wasp finish its work and keeps a spider hunter on patrol around your home. Removal makes sense when the location creates a real conflict. A nest beside a busy doorway, inside a living space, near sensitive equipment, or low enough for children or pets to hit it is a different situation. In those cases, do not scrape at an active nest with your hand or stand directly under it while the wasp is coming and going. Give it space, use proper protection, or call a pest professional if there is allergy risk or the nest is in an awkward spot. Old nests are easier. Once the holes are open and the wasps have emerged, the dried mud can usually be scraped away and the surface washed. The key is knowing whether the nest is active before you treat it like dirt. That ugly mud tube may look like damage, but in the right place, it may be doing more good than harm. Before you crush a mud dauber and knock down its nest, remember what it may be carrying home. Paralyzed spiders, sometimes including brown recluses, packed into a mud nursery. That makes this quiet wasp one of the lowest risk hunters on your wall. Thanks for watching. If you have seen mud tubes around your home, write where you found them in the comments, and subscribe for more hidden backyard stories.